Every woman has that moment, that quiet, aching moment when she is just tired, when she's just fed up, when she's tired of begging to be loved, when she is tired of waiting for some man to choose her, when she's tired of doing the most to keep a love that she's just really afraid to lose. I was that woman, and I had that moment myself. And this is where my journey to becoming a secure woman really began. Now, I remember being on this trip with my ex and realizing that he hadn't grown into the man that I needed him to be. Now, we had been apart for about a year, and we took this trip to reconnect. This trip was supposed to be about him showing me how he was ready and how he had changed. But the truth is, he was still the same, the exact same. Nothing had changed. But for me, everything had changed. I had done all of this inner work on myself, all of this work for a full year. And I realized quickly that being with him would really undo all of that work that I had done. Being with him would require me to go back to my old patterns of feeling anxious and uncertain and insecure. And I wasn't about to be in another relationship where I felt this way. And so when I realized this in that moment on that beautiful beach in Turks and Caicos, I whispered to myself, no more. I knew in that moment that I was done hoping that he would be the man that I already knew deep down inside he was. But I was done waiting on potential. I was done waiting on him to realize his potential. And that wasn't an easy thing for me to do, to have that realization in that moment. That moment was very hard because I love this man. But it was also confirmation that I loved myself even more and I was worthy of more. So in that moment, while it was very hard, I also felt an overwhelming sense of peace. It was such a moment of growth because it showed me that breadcrumbs and empty promises were no longer enough for me. And this was a huge shift for me because if I'm honest, this wasn't always true. I used to survive on breadcrumbs. I knew how to make a meal out of breadcrumbs. So while I was a little sad, I was also very proud of how far I had come. I could see my growth and I felt so much peace in that moment when I just said, nope, I'm done. And you can have this peace too. So I want you to know, if my experience, if this short story resonated with you at all, and if you chase love, and if you give chance after chance like I did, and if you ignore your intuition and accept breadcrumbs, you might be telling yourself the same exact things I told myself, that he will change. But how long will you wait for that change? That change that may never come. How long will you live in survival mode, feeling anxious and uncertain and insecure? Well, the truth is, until you do the inner work to heal, you will stay stuck. I stayed way too long. And I stayed because I had anxiety that was rooted in old wounds. For me, it was old childhood wounds. And when I did the work, I moved from being an insecure woman in relationships to a secure woman. And a secure woman is just a woman who shows up to a relationship already feeling whole, worthy, and confident. She's not looking for a partner to provide those things for her. She's not looking for some man to validate her. She has already validated herself. Now, I want you to take a moment and do me one favor. I want you to ask yourself honestly, where in your life are you settling and accepting less than you deserve? Where are you making a meal out of breadcrumbs and calling it a relationship? I want you to drop it in the comments. And if you don't drop it there, what I want you to do is journal about it, because naming it is the first step in healing it. Now, I also want you to know this is just the beginning. I'm beginning to get real vulnerable with this channel, because I know that me exposing my wounds is what's really going to connect and help women heal. And that's what I want for Awaken Her Now. I want us to awaken the best versions of ourselves. And that can only happen when we are healed, whole, and healthy. So in the next video, I am going even deeper. I'm going to talk about the wounds that cause us to show up insecure in relationships. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications and stay with me on this journey. We are awakening the secure woman within all of us. I'll see you next time.